Good morning, everybody, and welcome. This is a very special day for us all because this is the last day of council, and it's a very special day in recognising people from our communities who have done so much for our communities, that have been volunteers and given of themselves selflessly without expectation of and that are supported by others around them in the community as well. And so in receiving these community services awards, they're doing that not just for themselves, but also for the wider community. And so we're just very grateful that we've had the opportunity to work with you and in our communities and doing whatever we can to just make this an even better place to be. I mean, we're environmentally rich, but we are cash poor. So it just makes that appreciation of you all so much more important. And so I'm now going to simply get straight into it because we've got quite a big morning this morning, especially with what we've got 4 mayors and 1 online. So it's going to be quite a big day.
Can you yourself?
It gives me very great pleasure for the first Community Services Award recipient to invite Kylie Gunn to come forward, please. Yes.
We're allowed to clap before they come up.
Kylie, thank you so much for your amazing works that we are just so privileged to have you share with us and the wider community. And in fact, anybody that comes and visits our wonderful district and for all that you do in our community. I'm very grateful. I'll give you that. And then that leaves my hands free to be able to give you this Community Services Award and invite you to say a few words if you want. Nothing you would like to. We really appreciate everything that you do. Thank you so much. Thank you. I'd like to ask Ellen Young to come forward.
Yay.
Ellen is the creator of a different type of artwork. But it is glorious nonetheless for what you do with the Hauraki Prospectors. And you do other things as well, which are equally as important. But I think that for the Hauraki Prospectors Association, that is one of the biggest tourist attraction in Thames, hugely important for Thames. And the work you do up there, supported by your team, is just absolutely outstanding. So I'm just thrilled to be able to award you. Well done, Ellen.
I'd like to thank TCDC and the wider community for the support in everything that is local and district-wide as far as historic and don't be frightened to say that you put nothing into community, you get nothing out of it. Thank you.
Very well said. And I invite the next person who has put a lot of time and effort into her community, and we appreciate the contribution that she has made, Wendy Pond. Wendy not here?
I haven't seen.
I think she's on her way.
She's on the way. Look, we might come back to her if that's all right. So we'll just put it there. And because we know that it's challenging topography. The next recipient has been a campaigner for a long time and should be recognised for that passion and dedicated to her community that she serves so well, Rehana Robinson. Very thrilled to be able to recognise all your people, so thank you so much. And you're coming to visit. And she's come a long way. I mean, the distance.
Just a big thank you to those special people on the council who've always been solidly behind our efforts up there. And I'd just like to make a big shout out to our rural community, because while tourism, all sorts of other events and activities are important to the Coromandel, the rural way of life and our traditional way of life is also really important. And we've had, I've been involved for decades in the struggle to keep our it's safe and humane, and hopefully going forward, having a healthier and happier future for the Coromandel. But yes, on behalf of the, especially Upper Coromandel Land Care Association, the farming community up there, I'd really like to say thank you, and thank you, Sandra, for this surprise award. And thanks to everybody on the council who's also worked on our behalf. Thanks again.
Another person that's given so much of his time and energy and knowledge, and just been absolutely invaluable to the community of Kopu, Vaughan Austin. What Vaughan's achieved in the Kopu business community has been exceptional, and the growth of his business is due to his team and his passion and dedication. And I'd just like to thank you so much, Vaughan. It really is appreciated.
Thanks very much. I'd really like to thank the council, always fantastic support from the TCDC. Always given me confidence and pushing forward, so thank you very much.
Thank you. Well, this person needs no introduction. I hope he's here. Warren Mayo.
Easy coming.
I wrote it all out.
Circus Soleil.
Nicely in condition. Well, as you know, I don't know if many of you are aware, but there was a business awards at one time about 3 or 4 years ago. And we recognised significant businesses in the district and gave them an award. And I turned it into a "Will you accept this rose" ceremony. And I'm delighted to say that Warren accepted the rose. So Warren has just been one of those stalwarts in the community in radio, an absolute identity for our district. And we're just so grateful for the huge contribution you've made, Warren. It's been extraordinary. And thank you. And please accept this Community Services Award. And long may you continue.
Thank you, Sandra. I want to firstly acknowledge our mayors, previous mayors, Basil, John, Toby and Glenn. I've worked with the 4 mayors and probably will be working with the new mayor in future months. It's been a wonderful journey on the Coromandel, 34 years. 52 and a half years in radio, and I'm still there, so I haven't retired. For those that haven't caught up, I created Coromandel FM, became MediaWorks, and I'm now with consultancy role with Coromandel CFM. But very much Angie and myself, another company, we're on the road this year with our vehicles, 4 vehicles around the Coromandel, doing it all again, giving away sunscreen, lollies and whatever it is, and thoroughly enjoying it. So I've had previous roles with the council, of course, and the Business Development Board, Destination Coromandel, and thoroughly enjoyed those opportunities, and of course the Hauraki Rail Trail. So it's been a long journey, but I've thoroughly enjoyed it, and haven't put the feet up yet, enjoying life with my lovely wife Angie over in Paranui, and continue to contribute where I can. I'm doing a bit for the community there in Paranui currently, and look forward to continuing it. So thank you to you, Sandra, firstly, the fellow mayors that have given me opportunities, and up and onwards. I'm not giving up. Thank you all.
You can see the running theme, and this is what it's all about. People as the lifeblood of our community. I'd now like to invite Alice Brickle to come forward. The starman himself and promoter of our night sky, protection of our night sky. So, and I love that you can always have a difference of opinion.
Exactly.
Absolutely. So I'm delighted to be able to give you a community services award, Alistair, for all the different things that you do. But his latest one, which I particularly love, is the protection of our night skies in the Coromandel. We're rich with our environment, and the sky is no less so. So well done on all your efforts, and thank you.
Thank you very much.
So you're quite right, we want to keep the sky dark. But as you alluded to in the past, it's not just me that's getting the award, it's all the groups I work for. Right now, as I speak, there's people out on the Ring Street trapping possums and rats and ferrets, and people in the various groups doing things right now on various projects. And I want to give a shout out to unsung heroes, and that's the people that are standing for council at the moment. They've put their name forward to do a job which often, as these guys know, is thankless and abuse at times, not for me. But, you know, they don't, it's not much pay in it, but it's a lot of work, a lot of time, a lot of phone calls in the middle of the night. I don't want to do it, and they want to do it, so good on the new lot for standing, you know, fantastic. And another group which I think should be recognised is the firemen. Okay, I've got a little medal here. This is something I got back in 2001. It was International Year of the Volunteers for my work on the Community Fire Brigade. It was about halfway through a 30-year spell with them. But these guys are the ones that are really the heroes. Heroes is not a good word, but the champions of our community. They are the ones that are on call 24/7. They do their practice every Wednesday, and they go out to these call-outs and know all about it. And it's frightening, sometimes it's dangerous, but they're there for us 24/7, and they need some more awards too, I think, going forward. So thank you very much for that.
Thank you, Alice. Because for those of you that don't know, every time there's a Gold Star Award, we also give a Community Services Award, because we completely endorse Alistair's words and we support them wherever we can. They are also part of our lifeblood of our communities, because he's the first responder for us in our Whawhang rural communities, and that is our volunteer whāhiko. Can I now invite someone else who's made a huge contribution in media to the Thames Coromandel district, and that is Stefan Bosman. The award on his behalf and his daughters. Yeah. So welcome. Who would like to take this certificate and so would you like to say a few words?
It's really cool seeing, as from a child's perspective, how much I've been able to see how much work and effort he's put into the community, and how much is truly given, and being able to see how other people have also been able to recognise that. And the fact that he's actually doing something from that, even though he's never expected it, is really blessing to witness. And just notice that other people also. see what he's-
Well done. Really appreciate it. Did you
Yeah, the Coromandel is just such a beautiful place, so it's really cool to see all these people coming together and to make it even better and keep working on it.
Well done.
So,
And that's setting the leadership and example and inspiring our young people to follow on footsteps. So can I just now invite this next person to come forward, who's just been a remarkable person in the community, and for so many reasons. Just his knowledge is outstanding. We have nicknamed him the Oracle, and he's just an extraordinary person. Could I invite Marcus Ward to come forward, please? Unfortunately, he just recently broke his collarbone on Saturday. So we're really very grateful that Marcus could be with us, and I just want to pay an acknowledgement to his wife, Anne, who passed away a few years ago, Anne Ward, who was a community board representative on council. And we just appreciate the huge amount of work and contribution you make to our communities, Marcus. It's been outstanding. I'll give the certificate. You want me to put this around your neck or give it to John? Okay. I'd just like to thank you so much, and I won't hug you because I know you're feeling very nervous about your shoulder. Would you like to say a few words?
Good morning, everybody. Ben has introduced me. I've been on the peninsula all my life. Our forebears were there in 1850, and we've been there continuously. And my son John has taken over from me. And I would like to mention today that we live in the Urarema Valley, and the metal for the county roads have come out of that stream for 94 years, and it is quite outstanding. It is weed-free, and I have a persecution on gorse, and our father took the then Coromandel County Council to court over gorse metal, and I was on the pests and weeds part of the regional council, endeavouring to block gorse between the Headers Peninsula and Thames, and my efforts were to no avail. They, granted that it was a pest, they would try it, but it's windy. Any contractor that comes to work for us has a paid day to put a water blast all over his hair, put it up on blocks, run the track gears, and after he's been and left, we're watching where he's been. All gorse. Forgive me for making that my pilgrimage, but I've been all over New Zealand and I've seen the mess that it makes. We can keep that northern peninsula from Waiara to Port Jackson, which is part clear, of course. But it is in there, the government has brought metal in, and it's an ongoing job. We had staff attacking it. We hope to win. Thank you very much.
I worked with Marcus also on Hauraki Coromandel Federated Farms, and there was some significant wins at that time. We were the only federated farmers entity that opposed the introduction of the Resource Management Act. In fact, I think we're probably the only entity that opposed the introduction of the Resource Management Act. So can I now invite someone that has given a huge amount to the aquaculture sector, and I'd like to invite Gilbert James to come forward. But Gilbert isn't just all about aquaculture. He's done a wide variety of things and made a significant contribution, particularly in Coromandel Town. So Gilbert, thank you so much for everything that you've contributed to our community, which you're still doing. We really appreciate it. Thank you. Would you like to say a few words?
Yes, also. Seems a long time ago when put my first application in for a deep water farming licence, 1978. So it's been a wonderful journey from there. It's been an industry come through on that on my coattails. Interesting, I'm just sitting there thinking that the biggest objective, the most hard work was Coromandel District Council. Every single application that was applied, all 32 in the end by 1984. And there were 3, I think, planners here that belonged to the Team Sailing Club. And so they reckoned that they weren't against deepwater farming, but all room was taken up with sailing and fishing, and there was nowhere to put them. Pretty good argument. And no one was, well, I used to stand at the point there at Windy Point and think one day there's going to be 15 barges parked out there. And my uncle Norman was a keen supporter, said, you can put the barges on the mudflat to get in front of the real boats. And as I had even a day's work with barges sitting on the mudflat. So it's been a wonderful long journey, yes. I did 37 years. I set up an association in 1981 of the applicants, and I chaired it for 37 years. So that was 17 years too long. Should have withdrawn after 20 years. As I'm still into seaweed, so I'm planning my next decade if you probably see me around a while. But I want to say some words for other people that don't come up here and get an award. They don't really get thank yous. And these are the people that don't say anything at the meetings and things, but they never let you down. And they always show up and do whatever's asked of them. They're very quiet. There's others that turn up with gear and chainsaws and work and sweat. They don't get awards either. So we can't stand here without awards, without these people that do the hard grind. Thank you.
Thank you. I'd like to invite Lindsay Garnison to come forward, and Lindsay has made an incredible contribution to the arts community of Coromandel, and I've always been appreciative, particularly of this Barry Brickle exhibition and just the general hard work that he's put into everything. Lindsay, well done, and thank you so much. I'm very pleased to give you this Community Services Award.
Well, I've been putting on the Coromandel Christmas exhibition for 34 years this summer. First started way back then, when I approached Helen Mason and Barry, putting together a lot of amateur artists and senior professional artists. And it's just worth a treat. And at the beginning, we invited all the local schools, correspondence schools, primary schools up to about 7 years old, children to each send in art, and we put it together with the adult artists. Every year I try and encourage or invite up and coming or artists I think are worthy of having a go and getting in the environment of exhibiting art. And it's worked well, and the TCDC has supported it right from the very beginning. Yeah, it's just been,
It's great.
it's
And the
growing,
quality
and the
is
quality is growing. And Barry Brickle always said that the TCDC building, the Hauraki House, was turned into a gallery, is the best community-run art gallery north of Wellington and south of Wellington.
Well done.
And it is, it's amazing. It's an amazing building. It's local support is extremely great.
And I think the following individual, who's just an absolute cracker of a little actress, Elizabeth Cameron, also from Coromandel. I've been to one or two places Elizabeth's been in, and it's just been awesome. Again, it's a mini theatre, a little boutique theatre at Hauraki House, and I know that Glenn Leach, Mayor Glenn Leach, ex-Mayor Glenn Leach, and ex-Mayor Basil Morrison have both been there. They were there for a surprise birthday party for Mayor Chris Larks. And it was a surprise. Gorgeous little theatre, and we just thank your contribution to the community in maintaining and upholding the arts and providing just such wonderful entertainment for our community. So thank you, Elizabeth. Liz, do you want to say a few words?
Firstly, I just want to say that Sandra and I were actually in a play together many years ago. We performed over here in the George's Church Hall. It wasn't the best play, but a fun time. Seriously though, I'd just like to say how privileged I am to have been involved in a community like Coromandel Town and been involved in a group which has given me so many memories and helped me achieve so many personal goals over more than 45 years. Yeah, thank you, everyone. And it's great actually to be, thank you. It's great to be involved here though, because we often feel very separated up in Coromandel. I know, and this way it feels like we are actually part of the whole thing. Sandra mentioned Hauraki House. Believe it or not, 45 years ago, or maybe around that time, the council was actually going to bulldoze it. It was going to be a car park. Thank God that it was a public meeting of more than 100 people who said no way. And so we have that wonderful facility now in Coromandel, and I vow to keep protecting it as long as I can. Thank you for the support of everyone, and my husband who's supported me over the 14 years. Allowing me to go up to play rehearsals. I'm going to one tonight, actually. Thank you.
Thank you, Liz. I'd like to acknowledge the next person who has given a lot to the local community in Thames and herself has been a council representative as a councillor. I'd like to ask Diane Connors to come forward.
Yay.
There's no doubt of Diane's commitment to the community and the energy and passion and the drive that she's poured into our community, and we appreciate all the different things that you've been involved in, Diane. It's been fantastic. Thank you so much indeed. And I'm actually delighted to be able to recognise that here today. So well done. Thank you.
Because I came to this town about 35 years ago as a sweet little 19-year-old, and this town welcomed me in. And all I've been doing is paying it back since. So I really love being part of this community. I love empowering people to see their potential and bringing joy to people. So I will continue to do that if you're happy for me to do so. So thank you for the
Let's finish up the corset for the next speaker.
yeah.
The next person is actually was always known as the mayor of Coromandel Town, Nolan Gowdy. But Nolan, thank you so much. What's wrong? You want James now, do you? Nolan, thank you so much for the care and love and passion that you've had for your community, and we really appreciate everything that you've done. Thank you so much. Do you want to say a few words?
I just went up here in 88, yeah, so it's the best move I ever made. Some people said I was mad going back home, but I wasn't. Norman turned to make me an offer I couldn't refuse, and that's how it worked out. I got to meet Basil. And a lot of nice people.
You've never been the same.
Thank you very much.
No, thank you.
I didn't know.
So our final recipient, community recipient, is Chris and Jackie Reeves, who contributed such a lot to the Thames area, that rescued A&G Price's Foundry and donated for an adult special needs ablution facility, quite exceptional. Not everybody is going to be able to use it. It's for special people only, and they will have their own card to be able to access it. And it's very high tech, and it's quite something to have that offer from a couple in the community who just love the Thames Coromandel, and they love A&G Price's Foundry, the building, the architecture, and just the business of it. And we just want to recognise their contribution and their passion and dedication to our community, and that's Chris and Jackie Reeves. So that will be posted. Oh no, so much. Look, now we're very fortunate that we do have people that champion democracy, that appreciate the sacrifice that has been made for the vote, for suffrage, for democracy through our forebears that died in wars to protect that democracy. And so this is democracy in action. And in line with that, I just want to take the opportunity to recognise mayors that have made that contribution and recognise them at from a community perspective. So in order of seniority, hair colouring. It gives me very great pleasure to invite Basil Morrison, who was the mayor of Harleki District for many, many years, who saw some significant challenges during that period. And the way he handled a packed hall in Waihi following a sinkhole event was just extraordinary. I shall never forget that evening, and just the calm consideration, the dignity and the respect, which is just so, I think, symptomatic of many of our award recipients. And I'd just like to invite Basil Morrison to come forward. So I don't know if you know much about Basil, but if you Google him, you've got a Queen's Service Award medal, you've got all sorts of different jobs you've had, you know, we'd be here for a long time actually, Basil, if I went through them all. But what I think is really important is just working with the community at Coalface, and from our community, with the relationship that you've had with our district, between the two districts, working together, the Hauraki Rail Trail, Destination Coromandel. There's so many areas that we have worked together, and that relationship has been significant and really important. And I'm sure that many of you know that the relationships are important. They don't always run smooth, do they, Basil?
Absolutely.
But yeah, I love these guys, and so it's just wonderful to have people that you can turn to when you need to, and that you know have got the knowledge and the expertise to assist. So Basil, thank you so much for everything that you've done for our community as well as your own. I'm just thrilled to be able to present you with this award here today.
Well.
Hang on, time off this.
Forgive me that, I've had a race test this morning, but I've got a laryngitis and practicing for a speech I'm going to make fairly shortly in regards to thanking Sandra. So what I'd like to do, Sandra, is first of all, thank you, your council and your community and the staff for the support that you've given me, not only as Mayor of Hauraki, but I was interesting in hearing Marcus's comment. And Marcus, I remember Mr. Donovan. I was a Okanabirri County councillor when he was chairman of the Coromandel County way back in 1971. So Marcus, we were on the same side those days. But to the number of people that have received recognition here this morning, Sandra, I've worked with and sometimes against in many forums. And I was sitting there thinking before, sitting in this room where there was a fire racing up the hill.
Yeah.
And we had to declare a civil defence emergency. When we used the floods, they happened. It rained, you watch the rain, you watch the river come. But when you had a fire racing up the hill, you didn't have time to put into place policies and programs and all that sort of stuff. So to those that have received awards, I've worked with a lot of you, and I thank you most sincerely. So thank you, Sandra.
Thank you. So the next one I'm going to now invite to come forward is Mayor John Treacher. John Treacher, as you know, followed in Basil's footsteps and did an outstanding job. He loved his community, still does. And in spite of all the golf he's played, he did an awesome job. He was absolutely outstanding in shepherding aquaculture in the Hauraki Gulf. The work and the mileage and the time and effort he's put into doing that work, working with the regional council, was no mean feat. And amongst all of that, he's done an excellent job as mayor in his district. Basil, Basil. JT.
Smaller version.
And I can't thank you enough for the contribution that you've made. And again, Basil passed the mantle to you for working with you on the Hauraki Rail Trail, Destination Coromandel, and the many things that we've worked together on over the years, including solid waste contracts. So I'd just like to thank you so much for that work and relationship. And in spite of the little hiccups we've had along the way, that strength of the relationship has never dimmed. And so I love you for it. Thank you.
Thanks, Sandra. I wondered why I was asked to wear a tie today. This is the first time in 3 years I put a tie on. I couldn't wear it. But anyway, look, I just want to acknowledge what you're doing here today and acknowledging those people that have serviced our community. And to be honest, there are so many people out there that do a lot of work that don't get recognised. And it's really hard when you actually start who you actually read, because everyone, there's so many people. I've always said our community's involved around organisations and community and voluntary service. To be honest, I think if the council closed its doors tomorrow, you'd probably take a week to really find out. But if the volunteers in this community of Thames Coromandel, Hauraki, stopped today, you would know within hours. So I think we should never underestimate the volunteers that are involved. Hey, look, I followed, yeah, but Basil did 50. There's only 1 year between us, by the way, so I wasn't sure whether you had a seniority right. But, you know, Basil did 15, I followed on with another 15 as mayor, and, you know, it's a great privilege to be able to do that service, and I've enjoyed it. Glenn, I just want to acknowledge you, because Glenn, you and I really started Destination Coromandel. I on behalf of Harrick and you on behalf of East. So no, that goes back, Destination Coromandel, now Tourism Coromandel as it was. But also the aquaculture, the Heritage Golf Forum, and the rail trail, and many others. We could leave mining alone, couldn't we? But look, thank you for what you're doing with things like this. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
And I'd just like to acknowledge Mayor Toby Adams, the current mayor, and unopposed, they're supporting Chorus Boy. So,
AKA Sunday Drive.
I'm going to, the next person I'd like to acknowledge is unable to be with us, but I understand that Sam is going to be here to explain on his behalf. James Lux, are you here?
Yep.
James, oh, there you go. I was looking for you. Would you like to come forward, James? I'm wanting to acknowledge ex-mayor Chris Lux for the time that he served as mayor. And one of the biggest issues at that time, which was incredibly fraught and problematic, but he resolved just by a steady hand and working his way through it, was resolving Cook's Beach wastewater issues. Is Chris online? No. He's actually in the States at the moment. Reserved Chris Lux. So I'm thrilled that today is James, who digger driver extraordinaire, winner of the digger driver for representing New Zealand. You've been got twice. Yeah, that's picking an egg up in a bucket, in a big digger bucket. Think about that for a moment. No mean feat. James, would you like to say a few words on behalf of your father?
Yeah.
Yeah, so. A lot of faces here, I remember from when I was a little bit smaller. Yeah, so Dad said, Your Worship, Mayor Sandra, and guests and councillors, I'm surprised that 17 years after stepping down as mayor, you would honour me with this community award, and especially in the company of 4 other mayors, all of which I've worked with and shared many experiences representing our communities. Mayors Sandra, Basil, John and Glenn, what a ride it has been. Wouldn't have missed it for the world. And not just the working together, but in doing so growing mutual beliefs of respect and trust. And of course, not forgetting much humour along the way. Too much to mention here, but one thing I never forgot came from Mayor Basil immediately after my election. Chris, you've never been in local government before, so I would recommend for your first 2 months, learn to breathe through your nose. And what great advice that was, from the old bull to the young bull. And there it was, 2 terms passed in a flash. What an experience. There is a saying, one does not have to know Caesar to become Caesar. But I would say without a doubt, one cannot really know how much is involved in being mayor unless one has been mayor. In a nutshell, 24/7, 365 days of the year, serving your community.
Well, so. Tutiawa, where they have a place there where Chris is with and Kay were living with the family. They put together one of the best pest control groups in the district. So and still going strong today. And it's been well supported and made an exceptional job of it.
Yeah, we can spend a lot of hours
Oh, right.
hats on our back, counting poison around as kids. Yeah, I remember just to you guys that have been mayors and people that are looking to do it, I absolutely take my hat off for what you guys have to put up with. I went to the one of the meetings Dad had at Cook's Beach going over the sewer system. And it was around about that point I realised I didn't have the temperament to do that role. So it's incredible what you guys put up with and the job you do. So I really take my hat off to you for what you do for the communities.
Thank you, appreciate it, Joe. And the man who wears his heart on his sleeve, Glenn Leach. A bigger heart you would find. I mean, this is a gentleman that totally loves this community, still caring and out there, being involved and being active. And so it's not a talent that's going to waste. So really appreciate, Glenn, that you're still getting out there and doing it. So thank you so much, like Warren Maya. Well done and thank you. And this is about honouring the mayors for that community service from the people of our communities.
Appreciate it. My laryngitis got nothing to do with getting speech ready for Sandra. I agree with everything that's been said. You look at all these people that put time and effort into their communities, and without them, we'd go nowhere. A couple of little things that I do remember though. One was Basil Morrison, who would have to be one of the best politicians that's ever come out of our two regions. And I really known Basil for a long, long time. One day, he wasn't my fault that he played for the wrong rugby club, but he did. And we were playing for Old Boys, and there was only a minute to go. I was just telling Trudy about this the other night. We were leading by 5 points, 3 points to be honest. And under the post was a penalty given to Old Boys under our sticks. So it was going to be a draw. The Basil decided, being Basil, always thinking, he decided to not take the penalty. And they took a scrum and ended up scoring in the corner. So before he took the scrum, I said to Basil something like, "You silly bugger." I think that's what it was. He just looked at me and smiled. And when I seen him score in the corner, he walked past me and said, "Silly bugger." And the second thing I remember with me is Lutsky, Chris, and Marcus. And Chris arrived to see me one day and we were looking at a property. They arrived in a larder. Thanks to you, yeah. And I had a little Telstar, and it was a wet day, and we were downhill heading into Te Puma. And they wanted me to get in the larder. I said, like hell, get in this, but not right in the larder. So we charged off downhill, run off the road, slipped through the deer fence. And I sort of thought to myself, you idiot. Marcus was in the back, it was a hell of a joke. Luxie reckoned I was trying to kill him. And, so good memories. But I wish everybody involved with council, because I realise since I've been out of it, just how much time is put in. To everyone who stands is a credit, because you've got to realise that most people don't want to go under a vote. When you go up there and you stand a chance of being beaten, everybody, only one winner, then a lot of people won't put their egos on that line because they don't want to come second. Yet they've got a lot of ability and they'd really help. And you don't see a lot of those people within the volunteer bit either. But I agree, without volunteers in all ways, we would go nowhere. So it gets back to that thing, empowerment to the locals making decisions at the local level. I wish you all the best, Sandra, and thank you. I hope you have a great, and look after Bernard, would you?
So look, it's now over to Basil Morrison, who takes the podium. Basil, it's your role.
I well remember Bart de Boer, who was the chief executive. I think they called him the manager those days. And Tim Stroman had a brilliant idea. I think it was part of the dairy company, a deal we did with Russia. Perhaps we could do it again. And we bought all these larder vehicles. And Tim Stroman was the joke throughout local government in New Zealand with these larder cars. Some of you may recall them. I'm sure some of the ones that look a bit like me will remember them. They're an absolute bloody disaster. But we used to deal with most of those days. Right, I think I've made the apology in regards to a bit of a croaky voice. Now, can I, starting off, first of all, recognise Her Worship Sandra, His Worship Toby, and a couple of old mayors John and Glenn, elected members, staff, families of recipients of the awards that have been handed out this morning, and supporters. I recognise you all because you're all part of what has been talked about. A community cannot survive and grow without people like yourselves putting effort in, whether it's in a paid role as a staff member, or whether it's simply as someone on the end of a shovel wanting no recognition other than a cup of tea at the end of the project. And as I said in my comments earlier on, there's quite a few of you here I've worked with over projects over many years. Some of them have been very successful, some of them have been less successful, some of them have been a bloody disaster. But we've all had it, and I thank you all most sincerely for that. Now, my task here this morning is, after a very rigorous public process of consultation, submissions, and a lot of discussion, I was duly appointed by the Mayor to say a few words. In other words, Sandra rang up, that's not how much you're doing. I said, what about other people? She said, well, you're the oldest. So thank you, Sandra, for this voice and chance. Now, you'll really break the chalice later on in the process. So what I have to do is pay a tribute to retiring councillors from Thames Coromandel. And you'll notice I always use the term Thames Coromandel, not TCDC, because I remember the late Colin Brokenshire lecturing us and saying, it's Thames Coromandel. Yes, Brokey. Oh, that's right. It was formed in 1975 under the Henry May reforms, when the Thames Borough and the Coromandel County came together. Oh, right. So there we go. So for Thames Coromandel, thank you to those councillors. Now, I've been given some notes of the people that are retiring, the councillors that are retiring, and I've known three of them extremely well in many a forum over the years. But I'd like to start on, first of all, with Murray McLean, Deputy Mayor, current of Thames Coromandel. Now, Murray, you and I have worked together on many a project for a long number of years. On the little Skype sheet that I've been given on you that I'll relate to shortly, what's not on it was you're a member of the Ngatea County Town Committee of the Hauraki Plains County Council. And then in 1989, with the reform, Murray was elected to the Plains Community Board of the Hauraki District Council. Now, that first term of Hauraki coming together was similar to Thames Coromandel being created in 1975, where you had the borough of Thames and the two counties, Thames and Coromandel. And those conflicts, a bit of an urban rule thing, lasted for many years, maybe even still be deep-seated in them today. But Murray, your part that you played in that first term, along with JT, who was my deputy, I made him my deputy because he's a little bit liberal. I was considered to be conservative, believe it or not. And Michelle's going to be a union delegate for retired nurses too. So Murray, I'd like to pay tribute to you and Ali. Is Ali here?
He's somewhere in transit.
Okay. I do recognise the roads, lots of potholes.
State highways though.
Absolutely. That's a government responsibility. Right, so what people may not know about Murray is from a very early time when I first started working with Murray, I soon found out he was taught to be cautious. And everything he did in his life was based on those precepts of being cautious, of helping the community. And he's done that. And when I go through this little Skype sheet here, you'll know what I'm talking about. So you would know that Murray is a justice of the peace, and he's been involved in that for many, many years. He's been involved in pensioner housing, both in Whitianga and in Ngatea. An outstanding job in Ngatea. He's got an MBE, not much sure what the B and the A and those parts are, Murray, but you've rich scholastic skills. And has been in business for many, many years, and has been a business mentor to a lot of people, a lot of business folks. So not just on the Coromandel, but on the Hauraki Plains and further afield. Murray, in your time, you've seen and been involved in hundreds of projects, both within local government and outside local government. And we appreciate that and recognise that today. One of your more interesting times on the District Council has been sports facility in Whitianga, involved in coastal erosion programs. And a big one of your initiatives is minimising waste in the processing. So Murray, we recognise that. You often refer to yourself as a bit of a dinosaur. I will say that it's not much good leaving a message for you on your phone. We still don't know how to get the message out. So I learned that early on. But your work in both central and local government is to be commended. And the Coromandel has benefited tremendously from your expertise and your knowledge. Murray has always put the common good first, even though he may have come from a slightly conservative political point of view. But his contribution has been considerable. And we'd like to thank you, Murray, for that. But also like just Murray to go through some of the notes that I've been given here. Murray was the MP from Thames for Coromandel from 96 to 99. Murray came from the good side to the dark side when he went from local government to central. And then in 2004, he got elected to the Mercury Bay Community Board, and then continued on being involved in the Whitianga Wastewater Disposal Community Focus Group, and chaired the Eastern Seaboard of the wastewater program. He elected to council in 2013 and was a member of the Mercury Bay Community Board, Judicial Committee, Chief Executive Liaison Committee member. Elected to the council, a member of the Mercury Bay Community Board, Audit and Risk Committee, then became Deputy Mayor, Audit and Risk Chief Executive Liaison Committee, a member. We just need to be mindful of that. Good support. So Murray, your contribution has been considerable. There's a lot more. I won't take up too much time and embarrass you anymore. Finally, Murray, to Arlene, who's not here but on the way, and your family, we thank you and we thank them for allowing you to give public service. As I said, you were thought to be cautious in an earlier time, and you've carried out those precepts all of your life. So we thank you and we thank your family for those contributions, and we'll miss you. I'm sure we'll have the phone call to discuss current central government politics from time to time and the things they're getting right. No, I can't get you, but there was some things they got right, seriously. So thank you, Murray, for your friendship, your contribution. Now, I understand you've got something to hand over. Would you like to come forward? Now, this is made out of metal, mined out of the Thames. Oh, right. So thank you, buddy, and thank you for your service to the community. I'd like to say a few words.
I will say a few words. Distinguished guests, I'm not going to start with everyone. Ladies and gentlemen. First of all, like a lot of others, I would acknowledge volunteers, because in our community, they are the central part. We are only the people that bring it together. And I just want to refer one thing to the Basil got wrong. He said, I don't take messages on my phone. Well, I see my wife just coming in, and she will acknowledge this, that I used to get growled that I didn't pick up my messages. So the easiest thing is to take the message service off. You never get growled at again, I can assure you. So that's the easiest way to do it. But some of you might not know, after being in central government, I said in 99, well, that's my end of politics. I'm not going to get involved again. And we shifted up to Whitianga about 2001. And I was happily building spec houses up there and doing things, and building a Masonic village up there. And it came to my notice in 2003 that Hoppers wanted to put 60,000 cubic metres of sand on Brokers Beach. And I said, over my dead body. And I remember Jim Darn. We all know Jim Darn, the coastal scientist, said, oh, I've only put that much over the whole of Mercury Bay in terms of over the seabed. And I'm afraid that really got me going. And I thought in 2004 I would stand for community board and did that and did 6 years on that. Can I tell you that was probably the most frustrating time of my political career? Because I come from Hauraki District where we used to get some financial information in the Plains Board. We used to make decisions on things with substantive information. And I used to come over here and I came over and pleaded with Steve Rue and I can't remember the Mickelson. Someone might be helping me, Mickelson, Peter Mickelson, to plead to get financials so we could make objective decisions on community board, and we were not allowed them. And that was one of the frustrations, still a frustration that we made, I think, some very poor decisions in a vacuum. And I've got to say that was my motivation for joining council in 2010, not 2013. And can I say this, council, and I thank staff for this, has improved out of sight with the information that is available, with the communications and all the rest of it. And please don't let it revert back to what it was, because communities suffer. And I fear that, Aileen, I'm asking you, please make sure it doesn't, because it really was poor communication in those days. It has improved, and I thank staff considerably for that. I've enjoyed my life in politics, Madeline. You and I, well, I first remember you in the, I think it was standing for mayor of Hauraki District in 89 when you were canvassing around. And Basil and I, we've had a few trips together and a few places that we've gone.
I said to you I was being here, I wouldn't talk about it.
I think what goes on first phase, JT's the same. I've had a really good relationship with JT over the years. We always used to, but every 6 months we'd have lunch and catch up, didn't we? And I worked under Glenn and a number of people. So worked under Sandra. When Sandra was MP, I stepped right back and had nothing to do with politics for a good few years, and that was good. But I've enjoyed it. And can I say I particularly enjoyed working with Tony Fox. Yeah, Tony came on the council in 2010, and I think it would be fair to say that probably no other councillors that I know have worked together as close as Tony and I have for the benefit of our community and council. You know, we have got to the stage, we've travelled together all that time. We got to the stage that when something was coming up affecting our district, we'd even decide who spoke first and who spoke second. And that was very evident in the chamber, and some of the other councillors would say that. They called us the two Muppets, Sandra called us the two Muppets, but the two Muppets got a lot of things done, and I'm very proud of where our community is now. So without that, I'm not going to say any further, but thank you, and I've enjoyed it. Thank you.
Thank you, Murray. The next one is Tony. Tony, I haven't had the privilege of working with you like I have the others that are retiring. But Tony, I'd like you to come forward, please. And I'd just like to relate really much to your service. Your service has been considerable, you know, serving on becoming an elected member of the Mercury Bay Community Board, serving as a judicial committee on infrastructure, committee chair, member of the district licensing committee, and a huge amount of effort into public organisations. What I wasn't aware of was that you had a military background, and you're probably still of an age that might be required.
Perfect. Can't wait to get there.
You still got your guitar, we'll leave it at that. So Tony, thank you most sincerely for your contribution to local government, to the community. Thames Coromandel has been richer for the support and the knowledge that you've brought to the council table and in with the community. I was interested to read that you have musical ties, and I just wondered what sort of music you've played with, as you and Murray travelled over the hill. And I still couldn't really figure out where it would be. Whether it was ABBA.
Certainly not.
Certainly in the horse racing field and recreational fishing. So thank you. You, along with Murray, have helped deliver when it comes to projects for Mercury Bay. And not a small feat, more than 10 different communities from Whamapā through to Whakiti, as an advocate for them and indeed by them. So we thank you for that. You built a very strong relationship that we've talked about with Murray and with local iwi, with Ngāti Hei. And that is respected and acknowledged. So we thank you, Tony. All the best for the future. And we wish you the very, very best. I'd like you to come down. Right, listen.
I want one for the press.
Right, the stipend doesn't stop on Saturday night.
I said earlier this morning, when you have to follow Murray or someone else, you don't take the words away from you. And so what's been said by everyone today are things I'd like to say. And I thought, well, just in case this happened, if I was first, it would be right. Then I thought I'd better give myself a couple of notes. And maybe I'll start with how did I get to Mercury Bay? Well, I went to school in Southland, and so it was a Southland Boys High School old boy. And I used to holiday in Whitianga, like in the early 50s, quite a long time. And then, of course, the career took me to many other places, but I didn't come back there until 2000. I'm on to that soon. And so I thought, maybe what I should do is say, a lot of people say, what was the best thing you've done, or what was the greatest thing for you on council? So I thought, well, you've got to put that into perspective. So I thought I'd better say a bit about myself, perhaps, and maybe some of the things I've seen and done, not all of them. So I suppose from a career point of view, I was like any career student. I had a military career that was 17 years. I had 3 years given to me to give me 20. Take me a military pension, which has been pretty good for the last 20 odd years. And hopefully I'll live another 20 years, I'll get a bit more of it. Then with my wife, we had a family business and the rest home business in Auckland. And then my corporate career was in finance and administration. We are keen on voting, and one day we were coming back from North Cape, and I was at the barrier and someone said, oh, we ain't really out to get fuel, it's cheaper. I said, it's a good bloody idea. I'll keep us out of bottle. And I had one of the daughters with me, and it was her birthday. I said, well, we'll go to the out, we'll get fuel, we'll go out for dinner. And on the way home, it was flat calm and there's dolphins all over the place. And we were saying, yeah, what a great place this is. And Valerie says to me, you always said you retire at 50, and the only thing you ever wanted to go and live is in Indiana. Well, not the bloke doesn't get that offer very often. So I got home and parked the boat. Then I came down to Whitianga virtually the weekend trying to find a house to buy, which I couldn't. Then we bought the land and we built it. And so now I'm resident. And council put a appropriate fees in. No increase in the amount at all, the revenue grant. So I was pretty vociferous about this. And the media at the time were giving me plenty of pages of the paper. And then I've often said, if you want to say a lot, well, you better stand up and be counted. So I thought, well, that was the time to stand up and hopefully get elected, which I was. So now so that's how I arrived here, for good or bad. And then, so what are some of the highlights? Well, I did have a military career. Fortunate to have served in 9 countries. I visited 57, got a few minor military honours awards. I am particularly interested in music. I've been fortunate to particularly
brass bands and orchestras and then elaborate big bands. But with Continental Airlines as world champs, Australian champs, New Zealand champs. My brother's band, I don't think we have to talk about him, but that was travel all around the world. Fortunate to meet and perform probably some of the greatest players on the planet, which makes you pretty humble when you're at my level. Very keen on sport. So a military career, if you actually want to dodge doing things, you get involved in sport. In fact, a friend of mine, he was actually a policeman, John, you might know him. I don't need to be policing. He worked out, we don't do any policing, he into sport. So he was into bowls, darts, anything like that. And so for me, it was sort of rugby, cricket and golf. And that was pretty good. Playing a sport around the country, a bit overseas with them. I had the, I guess, an honour to be invited to play last Mason Valley for Churchill's memorial funeral. Like Murray, met the Queen on a couple of occasions. And we thought, there's not many people in Woodie can do that. Until I was talking to someone else in town the other day, and they've met it 3 times. Of that, I was seconded to Point England. It was on the way to NATO. I was contingent commander, and I had a Sutherland with me who will be known to the rugby guys here, Andrew Martin. So Andrew, he played for counties. He was an exceptionally good prop, and he was managing All Blacks as well. But so he came with me. He was pretty handy boy, but I was still a bit of a problem. He didn't mind knocking people over, so that was good. But me then as the contingent commander in the Tower of London, being that person responsible to hold the key to the Crown Jewels, they probably didn't know too much about me, particularly when there was a sort of a gym close by and sort of silver. So then we get to local politics, and I'm very, very, very satisfied with a lot of things we did. The community empowerment model, which was put in place under Glenn, really changed the way things work. Communities did feel empowered. If you had something to do, come to Alice and Leanne, and everything could be dealt with in there. Something I think that we're actually lost a wee bit of touch with of more recent times. But anyhow, the town upgrade, fantastic. The walkway around Woodie-Allen that you see there now, fantastic. The playgrounds, fantastic. The skate park for the youngsters, fantastic. So it's ironic that I've sat around this table, and I've sat around the one on Woodie-Allen. There's often a comment about, oh, there's a lot of rich old white guys sitting around here. Well, I'm hardly white, because I'm not very rich. I'm sort of pretty white, and I'm pretty old. I've had quite a bit of experience. And of course, that actually helps when you are confronted with problems, that you can rest on your experience and the experience shared with others. So I was also going to thank Molecule, that's already been done. And I'll get to the last book in a minute. So someone else I have to thank. That's my long-suffering wife of 54 years. And because she had a time when I was posted overseas, I could be seconded away for 3 months and no communication. She didn't know where I was, didn't know what I was doing, didn't know what I was up to. They put up with that. So eventually I get out of the army, and then I actually get more involved in music. And of course, that was rehearsing 2 or 3 days a week, playing, sometimes you go away and play something, but still not at home. Then you get a corporate life, you're still not at home. Then I got pretty interested in triathlons and marathon running, and so your whole life's actually spent training, so you're still not at home. So the good thing about that is you don't have to worry about teenage daughters. You leave that to their mother. And so that's been very special. And yeah, everyone knows, and I appreciate that. So what was the most memorable thing for me in my time as councillor? It has to be, without question, being invited to be part of the Ngāti Hei family for the 250 celebrations. Couldn't agree more. The most memorable thing that I've done. I'll leave that at that. So where do you now? Well, I'm going to try and write a book or finish writing one. I've got more than what I leave out of it.
just in case I publish it before I croak. And my wife actually finds out what I read on it. But I intend to spend the rest of my days travelling, enjoying my time overseas, particularly in Asia. We have sound connections in Thailand and Vietnam. I'm going to get to the golf and eventually, well, we make away in golf, mate. We'll just do 9 and go to the bar. I've got the thoroughbred racing. I'm interested in that. If I don't run out of money, that'll last me for a while. And I said I might finish writing a book. And in that, my twilight years, I'm going to spend those with my wife, daughter, and children, and friends. And I think each and every one of you, oh, Murray, Murray's mentioned it. I can't not leave that. What Murray said exactly right. Our time together has been fantastic. Very few times, if I was around, you asked Murray what would I think, he'd tell you, and likewise. It sort of depends on a problem of it, but the time we spent, it was regular. Every 2 weeks we sat down at Murray's table, probably drinking his whiskey. Fantastic. And if we had Joe or whoever there to do what we wanted to do, and came prepared. And so, Murray, that is a friendship that will last forever. But I think inside this thing here, this is my Christmas present. Is this tray? Now, this will come in really useful. It looks to me, Murray, that this for the bottle of Arthur, or better, 2 nice glasses, nice little crystal jars and a little bit of water, and you and I sitting around talking what we talk about. I think that'll get a lot of use. And so with that, I say thank you very much for everybody, and I've enjoyed my time, and I look forward to the progress as we go forward. Thank you. Oh,
Well, Tony, I'm the honorary consul for Uganda, and we want some military advice in Uganda.
I'll fix it when I have a beer.
Right, the next one is Sally Christie. Now, on Sally's history at local government, I'd like to start off by saying I've known Sally for a long, long time in various guises and various roles, and dealing with some other people on health boards, King's Hospital Board, and health issues, and all of those things over time. Women's Refuge, a lot of stuff. But Sally, the mentoring role that you play throughout your career has been substantial. And during your nursing days and through the wider health movement, those contributions have been recognised. Maybe you don't realise it, but it certainly has throughout the community, and for those organisations and individuals who you have helped, who really can't speak unless you've spoken for them. So Sally, I thank you most sincerely for that. That empathetic ear that you've given to those people in those times, they can only be done personally. They can't be done by mail, either electronically or snail mail. It has to be a shoulder. And Sally, you have done a magnificent job in doing that. You're also a champion of environmental causes, and we've had our discussions over the years. And you've certainly been a champion of Thames and making sure the town is a place where people can come to and enjoy the lifestyle. And that's been talked about this morning. There's been some real changes since you started. New gym for the high school, new playground at Porra Park, which is getting a major refurbishment in the next, I think, 12 months, 6 to 12 months. Kopu Marine Precinct is starting construction in a matter of days, and you'll see more homes built in Thames as the Thames town extends closer and closer to Hauraki. Just, I mean, Hauraki Coronado's got a nice street.
Not campaigning.
So Sally, thank you most sincerely. I first really met you and Mike when you moved down Better Road at Gatai. Your environmental and health advocacy had preceded you, and I was farming about half a K down the road, but worried about people like those of you sitting down the road. However, when I found out that Mike liked duck shooting, everything changed in my mind. So Mike, also thanks to you for the contribution you've made in your work. And that goes for the others. But Sally, thank you most sincerely from a personal point of view. As I said, there were some torrid times and some difficult times. The refurbishment of the Thames Hospital, we long remember when there was some view that it sent down just to be a local clinic and everything go to Hamilton by helicopter. And the politics, I long remember a meeting in the War Memorial Hall. There were difficult times, and Murray was Murray was our MP, and the then Minister of Health. It was Wyatt Creech, and I think he's passed away. I'm not sure.
Yes.
And he said no. Thames Hospital is going to be downgraded to a medical centre. Murray and I had extremely strong words with him afterwards in the Imperial Hotel here in Thames. Difficult times, Sally, and you led the community through that in a balanced way, even though your view wasn't something that I was always au fait with, but I respect the way you went. So, Sally, would you please come forward? Yeah, this is the voice of chalice.
Oh, thanks. 33 years, 11 elections, continuous. Michael and Jesse, not part of my life then. So over the last little while I've been thinking about this, I've been unpacking half my life, as well as the honour and privilege of representing this community, both at local government and in health. Always thought that health and local government, actually, the determinants of health come from good water, good social connection, good abilities to remove rubbish. So it was one and the same. So to the community, thank you. It's been a privilege. To my colleagues around this table, and I can see many people, quite a few that have gone. I can't actually see them. My mental health's fine. I can envisage. And this current table and my friends from Thames and the others, thank you for, from a lot of difference, we came together and we've made some good decisions and some decisions that will take this community into the future well. The staff, I am richer as a result of knowing you. So thank you very much. Friendships, respect, kindness, response to my hopefully reasonable questions and inquiries. And without you, this organisation wouldn't be what it is. So go well. And then to my friends and my family, you're my rocks, and I've got an identical twin that will be in town later tonight. There's a party. And so I've never worked alone right from the start. I've had my mate with me, and all of these mates continue to be the rocks of my life. So here's to health and wellness for myself, for my family, and for all of you people. Thank you very much.
This woman needs a waiata, and the appropriate waiata is Te Araha. So those of you who know it can stand and sing with us.
I'm very much conscious of the time, so that the next one that we'll speak to, I'll make it very short. And that's to her worship. She's tired of me, I've spoken too long, so I'll keep this very precise.
Carry on, Basil.
You're almost ready.
Right.
Right. Oh, that's right, you're a chief executive. But anyway, seriously, Sandra. Sandra and I have had a very lively working relationship. And I long remember her at the New Zealand Cooperative Dairy Company meetings doing a biscuit and telling poor old Tom Keenan then that they weren't doing a good enough job. And then moving forward into local government and the creation of the Hauraki district, Sandra had some very strong views on dog registration fees and how much they should be and whether you should have to pay them or not. Then she became our Member of Parliament, and I think she only walked out of our house at her age twice. But she was back the next week because those days I used to smoke and she'd pull back in for a sneaky cigarette. But Sandra, in all seriousness, I've never left wondering what you think. And sometimes I'm sure you don't think what you're wondering. Without doubt, because your heart has been in the right place, want to serve, want to make sure that you were seen for your arguments or your debates or your propositions or whatever you wanted to put forward. As I said, no one was left wondering. And I've just got really just a few things, and then Aileen has got half an hour address. But just to say, as our Member of Parliament, I dealt with you. You wouldn't have known it back in Federated Farmers Day, back in the Dairy Company days, back in the beginning of local government, creation of the local government structures in '89, Member of Parliament, Mayor of Thames Coromandel, and Lord knows what might be in the future. So, mate, from a personal point of view, thank you for your support and help. You're always a friendly here in Wellington. Didn't always agree with me. You thought I was far too close to Helen Clark. You know, there's a few rumours there. That's right. But in a mayor's role or a senior leadership role in local government, you have to listen to all points of view and represent all people across a whole range of issues. And at the end of the day, Sandra, people will respect you, even if on different issues they may disagree with you, but they'll respect you having to make a decision. And all I'll say is to Toby and whoever the incoming mayor is, for Alicia and John and I, we had letters to the editor. And if they were libelous, they wouldn't be published. If they were rude or defamatory in any way, they wouldn't be published. Today with social media, I don't know how on earth you can handle that and your family, because the stuff that's put on social media is absolutely, I wouldn't want to go back and do it again. So, Sandra, thank you, mate, and I'll just hand over to Alex.
It's not half an hour, the text is quite large. So, kia ora koutou. So, in putting together today, the staff has obviously been working with Sandra quite closely. In a typical fashion, Sandra was making this about everybody else. So the staff said, well, actually, no, we're going to do something befitting a departing mayor of 2 terms with previous 2 terms on council. There was that funny gap in the middle where you went to that other organisation, but we won't talk about that. So just before I get into it, I just want to also farewell Murray, Tony and Sally on behalf of staff, and thank you for everything you've done on behalf of staff and working with us. The other interesting thing is you have a group of mayors in a room. That doesn't happen very often. So Twitter tells me that the collective noun for a group of mayors is a magnificence of mayors.
Continue.
So it's fair to say Sandra's leadership to staff has always been one of our outcomes. No issue's been too hard, nothing has been too big to challenge, and there's been nothing she wouldn't advocate on behalf of people for. Your commitment to travelling around the district has been phenomenal, visiting agencies, communities, ratepayers, iwi. The mileage on that car is quite impressive. But more importantly, the commitment and caring for the people of Thames Coromandel and the wider region. The relationships with the neighbouring mayors who are all here today, Mashmash Piako, Kodaki, also with the Waikato Regional Council, and the growth of the relationship with the Pari Kodaki Collective puts this organisation in a really good position for the future. Your support of staff has been greatly appreciated, championing all of us as a team. We've got a farewell card from staff sitting there in that blue envelope there, and the staff were asked to put forward words which they thought about when they thought of Sandra. So the words won't be any surprise to you. I'll just run with the ones that are okay for consumption. Words like committed, passionate, straight talking, charismatic, dare. The one I would add is generous. And I've been in the 2 months I've been here, I've just been blown away by Sandra's generosity in terms of time, just being available at any time of the day. Her knowledge that she shares freely. We had a media thing the other day saying, can we have Sandra's credit card and claim transactions? And it was really, really pleasing to go back and go, there aren't any. So yeah, Sandra is an incredibly generous person, which may not be something that people out there appreciate. So on behalf of the management team, thank you for supporting with us. Thank you for the professional working relationship, for reading every single word and every single agenda. I've worked for a number of elected members in my career, and I can tell you Sandra has read every single word, and that is not a given by any means. For holding us to account for all those queries that come through, all those requests that come through, giving us a kick up the backside when we haven't got around to it, for always pushing us to always find ways to get things done. And as we know, that's not always easy in local government. I had an email from Rob Williams, if I can just read out what he had to say. I will always remember my time with Sandra as the Mayor very fondly. Her work ethic and her dedication to community were, in my experience, second to none. Of course, anyone who knows Sandra will understand that the odd diversion or tangential thoughts are inevitable, but she was always conscious of maintaining relationships and applying her immense humility to ensure the business of council would be progressed. I enjoyed Sandra's skill from our first meeting. Our work together was rewarding and enjoyable throughout. I consider her a lifelong friend, valued and incredibly caring. From my perspective, there's no greater praise as it is our authentic and honest relationship that matters the most. And Rob does continue, but I'll leave that there. So I guess the last 2 terms have been particularly challenging for local government across the country through COVID lockdowns, through the gigantic thing called the PGF that descended upon everybody. And Sandra, you've driven all of those on behalf of your community. We've seen a spatial plan adopted that went through today, very exciting. 2 main street upgrades, Whitianga and Coromandel. And how many times have we heard it's all about the money, honey? I can tell you I've heard that many times in the last 2 months alone, so I can imagine how that happens. And it's always been about ensuring other people's money is spent in the Thames Coromandel district, not the ratepayers. A whole bunch of things. There was a comment though that you've been front person through a whole lot of civil defence emergencies, tropical cyclones, storms, floods, even declared a civil defence emergency with Cyclone Cook back in 2017. And the comment did come through. Let's hope we never have to deal with the cyclone Sandra, because that would be a massive impact. And look, but just like to say that the families of public leaders often sacrifice a lot without recognition, and your family, Bernard, just want to say on behalf of the staff of council, thank you for sharing Sandra with us, and thank you for supporting her to support us. Aranui, Kauri Pai, enjoy your retirement, and we look forward to the incoming letters from ratepayer Sandra.
Thank you very much. It was interesting seeing some of the photos up on the screen there, Sandra. Yes, would you like to come forward? But you're not allowed to speak.
All right.
So this is a surprise to Sandra. Nothing else is a surprise to Sandra. She's choreographed everything, but this is a surprise.
Thank you.
Is it a blow up?
No, the Arlene's bacon.
It's beautiful.
Feather box.
Yeah.
Feather box. Oh, wow. Okay.
It's beautiful.
Yeah. So, and in here, we have. So. Wow, that's pretty amazing. It signifies carving your own way. Actually, there's a little orange cone in the office that successive mayors have had, and it says, you know, a little road code example, and it says, I did it my way. I think it's play it safe, do it my way. Thank you so much. Is it my turn now? Oh, great. You're a champion. And thank you, Aileen. I wasn't expecting that from you at all. There's a lot from she has been so busy. She's hit the ground running, actually. And what an amazing choice for our current CE and to take this organisation forward for the next leg of the journey. Can I say that the best piece of advice, the best piece of advice I ever received was to never put anything in writing unless you were happy for it to become front page news. So I was very mindful of that when I did my valedictory in Parliament, because you can appreciate that they were very nervous about what I might say. So just to control myself, I just put a limit on myself about keep it straight, And that means virtually you're keeping it fairly bland and controlled. So not two words that would necessarily spring to mind as two of my best attributes. Becoming mayor, I had a number of objectives in mind, but 3 or 4 of the key ones were all achieved, but they remain confidential. And work has always been my focus. I think everybody loves it, but I love work, so it's not a biggie. Within the first week, I had my gumboots on and I was digging out a drain on private property. And then, as Aileen mentioned, within the first few months, I was declaring it a civil defence emergency. And I have to tell you, that wasn't hard. It wasn't a hard process. But I take my hat off to Gary Tower, who was just amazing in emergency management and civil defence. And so it makes it so much easier. And everybody just gets on with the job. It's just incredible seeing how all of our communities pull together in an emergency. We just do it ourselves and get on with it. And, you know, half the time I think we're better off doing it ourselves without the external interference. You know, on the operational work front, getting some historical matters completed was for me a priority. And believe it or not, the Tairua Skate Park was on the top of that list. It had been around since my day on council with Sally, but way back in the late 90s. Establishing good working relationships with Hahei was another one, and getting their water and wastewater underway was another one. And concluding the Williams Ave property, securing that car park for Hauraki House in Coromandel was another one. And housing for Thames. And it's got to be the worst process ever to go through to actually try and get a run on the board for housing. But I have to say, we've finally made a good start, and none of that happens without the staff. So bonuses along the way. I think it's been working with this council. It's been a real bonus. The councillors at the table and all of the staff and the many communities. But it's the overall strength of the councillors and their ability to work together and take collective responsibility for treating people with dignity and respect. And that's not always easy. It's not always a smooth ride, but, you know, we work through the tough bits. And I think it's a testament to the integrity of the councillors that we did that. And I appreciate and thank them for that. It meant a lot to me because it was a big thing for me. I no matter what your views, your status, your opinions, treating people with dignity and respect is always, you know, it has to happen. So my sincere thanks to each and every one of you councillors and for undertaking in this shared journey that we've had together. To our community board representatives, I thank them for all that they've endured on the front line, and some of them have gone through some real hardships, Tairua particularly. And so I just commend them for putting their hand up, as speakers have already said, how important that has been. One of the highlights has been improved working relationships with iwi. I won't mention names because there's actually quite a lot, but this will be something that will be treasured always. And so this is very, very special. Other bonuses, definitely all of those jobs, the projects that have been mentioned already by the different councillors and the Aileen. And add to that reticulated water system improvements around the district, Te Aliki Tahi, which is the Sugarloaf project, and the Kopu Marine Service Precinct project. And we each have a part to play. With the support of a mayor, councillors and community boards, staff have done an outstanding job. In some ways, you could say staff have done that job in spite of a mayor, councillor and community boards. And I give each and every one of you my deepest heartfelt thanks. They say, never miss an opportunity if you can help it. And so I'd just like to mention one or two things. The greatest obstacle, overcoming central government stupidity and ignorance. Climate change is real. In my view, it is part of planetary cycles, and as such, we are experiencing extreme weather events. Deal with it, people, adapt. Emissions control schemes are bogus, and I guess now that I've expressed a view, a dissenting view, I'll be carted away. So can I just say to everybody, never be afraid to express a difference of opinion. We should never be afraid to do that. Big global challenge. In my opinion, it's solid waste. We should stop tinkering around the edges and incinerate and save our oceans. So not everybody would agree with that. And so honour our forebears by fighting for our rights and freedoms. So vote, cherish your vote, cherish our democracy, uphold free speech and the right to protest, uphold rights and property, the right to choose, the right to bear arms, the right to justice, the right to be treated equally.
And kill mangroves.
Only the community, the majority decide. And fundamental to standing as mayor is to serve our people. Hence, in 36 years of public office, my mobile phone has always been available for anyone to call me, and it still will be. I will always do my best to help, and my greatest reward has been working with people and communities for good outcomes. Local knowledge is a huge asset. Never underestimate your people. My most used maxim, apart from it's all about money, honey, what's the worst thing that can happen? And if you can deal with that, then give it a go. My best asset is my husband, Bernard. He might think something else is the best asset, but one of his fondest memories is receiving the flowers as spouse of the winning candidate. I am proud of what we achieved. When we look back on this time and reflect, only then will we see what we have truly accomplished. To the people of the Thames Coromandel, to councillors, community boards, to staff, thank you and well done for all the hardship that some of you have had to bear. We still achieved well beyond expectations. We are among the top 3 poorest councils in the country. We have the highest over 65s, hence fixed incomes. We are among the top 5 for housing deprivation. We're the most disadvantaged district in the country by the government's funding allocation model, and yet we still provide for 4 times a resident population during peak summer periods. If that isn't a community delivering beyond expectations, then I don't know what is. I wish you God's blessing for your continued safe and fearless journey ahead. And God, Basil, I have totally loved my time in local government, working in the real world and where common sense can still prevail. Thank you to you all for giving me the chance to serve you. Yes. Rebecca, ladies and gentlemen, I invite you now to join us for a cup of tea and vote to eat. So please take the opportunity. Thank you so much indeed.